How is it going, everyone? It's Lumity here, and today we are going to be talking about what I think might be my favorite 16-bit fighting game on the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, just within this generation. I think this may be my favorite fighting game of this 16-bit generation. I love this game. Today we are going to be talking about Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct is absolutely awesome. It looks great, it plays great, it has great stages, great characters. Love the characters in this game, a lot of different ones, a lot of cool looking ones, and I just really enjoyed this game. I enjoy the way it works, I enjoy the way it plays. It's just a really good game all the way around, and it has aged also very well, especially when you compare it to a lot of the fighting games of its time. This is a fantastic game, and I can't help but say that this may, in fact, be the best fighting game of that generation. And that's just my personal opinion, but it is really, really, really good. So, today we're going to be talking about Killer Instinct. Like I said, I love this game. So, Killer Instinct is a fighting game that came out on the Super Nintendo, and I believe it also was in arcades, but from what I understand, not a whole lot of people actually saw the arcade cabinets. I think more people actually owned it on console back in the day than actually went and played it in the arcade. But it came out on the Super Nintendo, and I love this game. So you basically do what you do in all fighting games. You pick a character and you go through a tournament of different fights, and you can pick a few different characters. You actually have quite a few different characters in this game, and I like pretty much all of them. You have 10 different characters that you can play as. You had Orchid, and Orchid is probably the one that I like using the most. She's really quick, and I really like using her. You have Thunder. He's this cool like Native American dude that has tomahawks, and I really like him. You have Cinder, and he's like this dude that is basically all fire, and he's really cool also. Fulgore, he's a robot. He's actually probably my least favorite. It's not that he's bad or anything, but, you know, he's just okay. He's like a cyborg. I shouldn't say robot. He's a cyborg, but still. You have Glacius. Glacius is really cool. He is literally like an ice monster type looking thing, and he's really cool. I really like him a lot. You have Jago. Jago is He looks like a ninja. That's the only way I could really describe him. He looks like some sort of ninja. He's pretty cool. You have Riptor. Riptor is a Velociraptor. Really cool, but he also is a pain in the butt to use. I never got good with him. Every single one of these characters has very different abilities, and Riptor's ability just... he plays so different from the other characters. You know, a lot of these characters have kicks and punches and stuff like that, but Riptor uses his tail a lot, and trying to get used to that was actually kind of hard for me to do. So he was kind of one of those characters that felt like there was a bit more to kind of learn with him. You know, he seemed like a harder character to use. You have Saberwolf. Saberwolf was actually pretty cool. I always like werewolf types of characters and stuff like that, so he's a really cool character. You have a Skeleton. The Skeleton dude is named Spinal. I like him quite a bit too. He is very odd, and I just like that character. And you have Combo. Combo is a boxer. He's really cool. A lot of his moves all, of course, involve punching, but he does have, like, some cheap shots that he can do. You know, you can, like, use a knee, you can headbutt and stuff, too, which is pretty cool. So I like using him, too. He was actually one of my favorites to use as well. So I would say my mains, though, would probably be Orchid and Glacius. I use those characters probably the most, and I really enjoyed playing with those characters. The way that this game works is a little bit different than other fighting games, because the way it works is... whenever you're fighting, you have your health bar, of course, like you normally would, but if someone's health bar runs out, and you have, like, let's say that you have a sliver of health left, basically, it will start another round, their health will completely refill, and your health will stay where it's at. So you actually have 2 health bars every single time, and when one player's health bar is depleted, it will then go into the second round and fill up the other player's health bar completely, and you have to take out their health again, while you only have that amount of health left, unless they knock you out, and then it will go into the next round, and you will have your secondary health bar refill. So, it's cool how it works. I don't think that there's really any other fighting game that I've seen do this, so that's actually really cool. I really like that a lot. So, big fan of that one. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of in this game is the automatic combos. I wasn't really a huge fan of them. I think that it makes more sense in fighting games if the combos are all actual button presses, and if it counts a combo as anything basically where you are hitting the opponent and you're not getting hit back. If you are constantly hitting the opponent and not getting hit back, to me that should be the combo. That makes more sense than just having these kind of like preset combos. I'm not a huge fan of preset combos. I get that this game is kind of known for it, but that's actually the thing that I would say holds it back more than anything, even though this is a really good game still. This game also has basically fatalities. I think they're just called finishers, but they're basically fatalities. Each character has their own special fatality that they can use. Orchid's is kind of funny. She literally flashes the opponent, and their eyes like bug out their head, and they die of a heart attack. I thought that was kind of funny. And then the other one I used a lot of was, of course, Glacius. And Glacius, one of his, he like turns into a puddle, and then he goes underneath the other character, and he like absorbs them. And that one's really cool too. So I really like the fatalities. The fatalities are pretty easy to do as well. I think that they're actually easier than even a lot of the Mortal Kombat fatalities. So really like the finishers in this game. They're really fun. You can also knock the opponent off of the stage. So like they have to be low on health. It has to be like in the second round or whatever, when they're about to die, they have to be low on health. But if they're close to like an edge, you can actually knock them off the edge, and they'll go like falling off, and they'll do this like little cutscene of them falling off the building or whatever. And I just thought that was really cool as well. So liked all of that stuff. The game is pretty fair. If you have it set to whatever setting you have it set on, it's going to feel like it is giving you that challenge. So the settings are very accurate. If you set it to easy, you're going to have an easy time. You set it to normal, you're going to have a semi-difficult time. It does get pretty difficult, mainly towards the end stages. The first ones aren't too bad. It's when you get to like the higher end bosses, once you get to the end levels, those are the kind of the hard ones. Especially Riptor. For some reason, like I said, I can't use Riptor. I'm really bad at using Riptor, but man, the PC, the PC player, the CPU player, is insanely good with Riptor. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, apparently, if you get good with that character, he can be really good, because the computer character is really, really good with Riptor. But either way, I do think that this game's pretty fair, though. It seems like all the settings work just fine, and it actually will give you the challenge that you want if you set it to the setting that you want. So that's always a good thing. Some fighting games don't always do that. I'm talking about you, Mortal Kombat 2. So I'm a big fan of that. Overall, though, this is just a fantastic game. Love the way it looks. I love the fact that you can change the colors of the characters before you go into the battle. Like, I turned Glacius into like this almost like yellow gold looking, frost dude instead, and that was kind of cool. And then you can change Orchid's outfit as well. You can change all of them, and I think it's really cool that you can change the colors of their outfits and everything. So was a huge fan of that. The combos, every character feels very different from one another, and I do like kind of figuring out the combos, even though I don't think that I'm a huge fan of the combo system necessarily. I still do like a lot of the combos that are in this game. I like the way they look, and I think that each character having their own combos is pretty fun. The only thing I would say is that once you get to like set it to the higher levels and you get to the final boss, when you start seeing him use the combos, his name is literally Idol, and his first name is Billy Idol. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But when you see him using the combos, it just looks ridiculous. I hate the way he looks when he uses the combos, because it just looks silly. Not a huge fan of the way he looks, and that's really the only boss I would say probably could have been balanced a little bit better, but for the most part, every other character is pretty fine. So, since it's a boss fight, it is what it is. I'm not going to beat it over the head too much for that. They tried to obviously make games like this hard back in the day just for the arcade anyway, so... But overall, I really enjoy this game. It's a really fun game. The stages are great. Love the stage design. My favorite one is when you're fighting on top of a building and you can see like a Nintendo logo in the background. Love that one. That one's an awesome stage. And there's some awesome, other awesome ones. There's one where you're like fighting on a suspension bridge. That one's really cool too. So again, I love all of that stuff. There's just a lot of cool stages, a lot of cool characters, a lot of memorable stuff here. And I think that if you are collecting for Super Nintendo, Killer Instinct is definitely a game you should have in your collection, especially if you are a fighting game fan. This is fantastic. I loved it. It is also on the Game Boy, and we will talk about the Game Boy version later on. And it's also on the Xbox Series X through Game Pass. And we will talk about that version later on as well, hopefully, also. So, I want to talk about all the other versions of this game, but this version of it on the Super Nintendo, it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. And, of course, if you play on higher difficulties as well, you can get a bit more background on the characters and stuff like that, but I'm not very good at this game, so I try to stay on the lower levels. I try to stay in my lane, so there we go. But go check out Killer Instinct. It's awesome. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.